Hey everybody, Dr. Oliver here for backintelligence.com, and today we're going to talk about frozen shoulder and specific ways you can try to deal with it when it's going through the thawing stage, which we'll discuss in a little bit. And if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button so you can get access to videos as we put them out on more topics. So frozen shoulders is one of these strange conditions that humans will get. Roughly 5% or so of the population tends to get frozen shoulder. Essentially, the other name for it is adhesive capsulitis. It's essentially that the shoulder itself gets, the capsule and the soft tissue gets thicker and actually starts to lock up and not move as well. That's why they call it frozen shoulder, because you can't move the shoulder as well. Some people, we have no clue as to why it happens. Other people, we have some indication. Sometimes trauma can be associated with frozen shoulder. Some medical conditions, such as diabetes and some thyroid conditions, can be associated as well. But on average, it happens to people, and we don't really have a clue as to why. We just know it goes through specific stages. And it can last anywhere from 1 to 3 years for most people. It really depends on the individual. So you tend to go through the first stage, which is going to be the freezing stage. This is the stage where it's actually painful. The shoulder is painful, and you have a little bit of limited range of motion, but it's usually mostly just the pain that is in there with the movements. Mostly external rotation of the shoulder, which is this, and abduction, which is this. As you progress through the freezing stage, you get into the frozen stage. Now, this is the stage where you really start to have limited ranges of motion. And again, especially that external rotation, you might have been here before, now you're down to 50% or even less. And then again, abduction is the other big one. This stage actually tends not to be that painful. As you go through the freezing stage into the frozen stage, the pain dissipates and then you just really become restricted. Some people sit in this stage for a long time, and then they get into that thawing stage, which is the stage we're going to talk about, where you start to see that range of motion slowly improve. And we're going to try to give you some options to improve that quicker. So we're going to go over a few things that you can do just to kind of loosen up the shoulder a little bit. Now we're going to go over 3 things you can do to deal with this frozen shoulder as you're in that thawing stage and you're starting to get some range of motion back. This will be ways that you can get more range of motion quicker, hopefully. So just work on these things. So we're going to first go over what they call a pendulum, which is a very easy exercise. And you're going to need a table or a bed or something you can kind of lean on with the opposite arm. So the shoulder that is affected, let's say it's this right shoulder here, is going to hold a small weight. Right now, Leon has a 2-pound weight. You can do 1 pound. If you don't have small weights, you can hold like a small bag. You can hold a big soup can, something like that, that you can just get a little bit of weight on the end of the arm. And then you're going to do what they call a pendulum, which essentially is just letting that arm hang freely. And he's using his body to move the object. So he's not actively sitting there moving his shoulder like that. He's letting his shoulder be loose, and then he's using his body to go back and forth. He's going to do this for about 30 seconds front to back. After that, then he's going to try to sway side to side to get a little more motion that way. So about 30 seconds each direction. If you get a little bit of rotation in there, little circles, that's fine too. You're just trying to move that thing. So about a minute total, you're going to let this pendulum exercise set in there. It shouldn't hurt. It should just be moving around, trying to, again, gently stretch out that capsule of the shoulder right there as it hangs down with a light weight. You don't want to be gripping tightly. You just want to let things kind of hang freely. So after you do that exercise, we can move on to an exercise where we actually use a stick to increase the range of motion. So again, we're pretty limited in these external rotations, abduction. You might be limited in all sorts of motions. So we're going to use a stick. You're going to take the palm of the affected arm, and you're going to put the end of the stick right in that. Now, using the good arm, all the motion is going to come from the good arm. You're going to use that to move the stick around and to move that shoulder. So he's using his left hand right now to move his shoulder in the ranges of motion that he feels most restricted in. You may have a little bit of discomfort with this, but it really shouldn't be painful. Don't push into a bunch of pain. You're just pushing into restriction. So you can do just like Leon's doing there. He's going behind him. You can go up to the side. You can try to bring it up through that abduction moment right there. Perfect. Anywhere you feel restriction, whether it be in front of you, the side, the back, whatever you need to do, you work on. And then that other one we talked about is that external rotation. So if you put your elbow at your side, 90 degrees right here, and again, you're going to keep your elbow at your side while you push that stick over and work on that external rotation right there. Good. Again, no pain. You're pushing into some stretching discomfort. That's fine. That's normal because things are tight. You're just trying to get some range of motion out of this. So you're going to do this for about a minute. 1 to 2 minutes is pretty good. Just find all those range of motions that are really restricted and work through. This is something you're going to want to do pretty frequently. A couple times a day is not unheard of with this, especially as you're trying to gain range of motion. So 2-3 times a day is fine for a couple minutes, just working on that range of motion. Just again, explore the different ranges you have and the ranges you don't have and work on them. So work on these two to improve that kind of range of motion. The third thing we're going to do is just a little bit of self-massage. So again, if we're dealing with, let's say, that right shoulder's affected on Leon here, he's just going to take his fingers, 2 fingers from his left hand, and he's going to reach up just in front of the shoulder there. You'll feel it'd be kind of bony. It might be a little bit tender too, and he's just going to rub around, doing gentle, small circles. If he finds a spot that's a little more tender, he can focus on that a little bit. You're just trying to work on that capsule a little bit. Again, it's that adhesive capsulitis we're trying to free up a little bit. So you work around the shoulder from the front and side, and then you can go into your pec as well. So if you're looking in your pec, you're going to come off of the shoulder, just in here, and you're going to find some really tender spots in there as well. So you can kind of dig in there with the fingers again. If you find a really tender spot, just sit and hold it and apply the pressure. So work on massaging these areas around and see if you can increase that range of motion. Sometimes this is more effective to be done before you do the stick or the pendulum or after. You play around with it, see what works best for you.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it and share it with a friend. Also, we'd love to send you 3 posture correction exercises that we've done with Dr. David Oliver. These videos will help correct that forward head and rounded shoulder type of posture that we're all suffering from today. So if you'd like to get those 3 videos, there's going to be a link to get them somewhere here on the video or down below in the description. Go to that page, enter your email, and we'll send you those videos right away.